So why climate smart dairy? Basically, I'm active in agriculture. I think I kind of know what's going on. And back in October of 2021, there was this big new call for climate smart agriculture. And I have never heard of this before. And so I sat down, learned a lot, and that's when I realized a lot of us had never heard of it before. So the first thing I had to do, we were applying for a big grant, and so I had to figure out what it was. And so this is the figure I made to help me understand and help communicate with people in my college, CALS, College of Ag and Life Sciences, what it is. It's a sustainable intensification for food security. So sustainable agriculture, great, I understand that one. Climate change mitigation, trying to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and then resiliency and adaptation to climate change. And so where those three intersect, that's climate smart agriculture. So you kind of see it's some very standard stuff. It's hard not to get behind, increasing productivity, getting more from using the same amount of inputs or less inputs, and overall that should increase farm returns, reducing greenhouse gas emissions and making more resilient systems, improved equity and social inclusion. That's sort of the official definition. And thinking about how to communicate that with people, I finally said it's kind of like a rebranding of what B&P adoption is. Best management practices, add on to it, mitigating climate change and adapting to climate change. How do we farm better? What are the good ways to farm? And at the same time, help with climate change, adaptation as well as mitigation. Then when it really became clear to me is this is a big deal is we didn't get the grant, unfortunately, but other people did, and some of those people are in this room here. The USDA, about the same time I was busy with that grant, announced these USDA partnerships for climate smart commodities. And this was a little bit of a game changer, in my opinion. It's really been re-energizing ag conservation. It's one of the things happening at the federal and at the state level that's really focused on conservation in agriculture. What were these partnerships supposed to do? And I got the three bullets, came right from the request for applications. Pay farmers to implement climate smart production practices on working lands. That to me is best management practice adoption or sustainable practices, whatever you want to call it. It's just farming better, doing a good job of farming, measuring and monitoring to verify it, and then developing markets. And so I think of all three of those together is going to be paying farmers to be better farmers and jump-starting carbon markets. That's, I think, kind of the goal of the program. There was $3.1 billion has been invested in this at the federal level, and there's 141 projects. There was a first round of 70, and there's a second round of 70. Here in the state, now several of these are active, and that's when I said, okay, I got to find out what these people are going to do. Edge Dairy Farmer Cooperative, we've got a $50 million proposal. Theirs was accepted. These are all on that webpage there. Organic Valley, their crop group, $25 million. Carbon A list from Denon, it's another dairy-oriented one. They're active here in the state. One of a student I was on his PhD committee, he's part of that leadership. The DeLong Company here in southern Wisconsin, one of the major shippers of specialty grains, they've got one, including some dairy active. And then we've got some of these smaller ones that were I just found out about these a couple days ago. The Fox Wolf Watershed Alliance it's got $5 million. The Dairy Grazing Apprenticeship, almost $5 million as well. So there's a lot of this going on here in the state. And I said, I want to know what's going on. And so we got the Edge and Organic Valley are going to present and talk to us about it, but more than just that. So our goal today is to hear some of the academics and practitioners who are going to be talking about let's get this right. Talk to us about each other, get us talking to each other about the future of climate smart dairy. I want to know what we're going to be doing because I don't work specifically in the dairy industry. I'm a big supporter of it, but I just eat cheese and drink milk. What are people doing? What's coming? I want to know about the future. There's a lot of energy coming into this. I want to know what's coming. Where do we fit in as a state, as an industry? What are we good at? Where are we behind? And so I brought in some people. Michelle Watio from Animal and Dairy Science is going to start us off. I asked him to give us an international perspective. Where does Wisconsin fit in this climate smart dairy world? Where do we fit in? John Lewis is going to talk about what happens after the farm gate in the supply chain down there. We heard from the importance of exports from Mark Stevenson before lunch. That's some of the stuff, that's what the cheesemakers make and some of the other stuff that John's going to talk about, the post-farm gate. Then Frank Mitloner from UC Davis is in animal dairy science. He works on air quality impacts on the dairy industry. I wanted him to give us a California perspective. They're the other dairy state. If we're the dairy state, America's dairy land, they're the other dairy state. And then we got practitioners, people here in the industry. Wade Miller from Organic Valley, Jamie Fisher is going to talk about Edge Dairy Co-op, and then we got Mark Crave from Crave Brothers. All three of these people, these companies, these organizations are involved in climate smart dairy. So that's why I chose climate smart dairy. I'm excited to find out what's going on.